What's going on, everybody? How we doing? Just doing a little camera adjustments really quickly. Alright. And we are live. What's going on, everybody? My name is Steve Tauro, and I'm here commentating the 2022 NFL Pro Bowl. This is a unique experience. I've never commentated an actual game before. So just really, trying this out. And what more fun time to do it than the NFL Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is taking place in Las Vegas this year. We know we have the AFC and the NFC. The coach for the NFC is Matt LaFleur, and coaching from the AFC is Mike Vrabel. And both of these guys both did an amazing job with their team this year. They did fall a little bit short of where they probably would have liked to go, the Titans especially. But with Green Bay, that's just been a consistent, thing going on for a couple of years now. So I know that's troubling. We don't know Aaron Rodgers' future with Green Bay. But I'm really excited, guys. I am the host and producer of the Since the Sandbox podcast and also the Jumping Bases podcast. The Jumping Bases podcast is an educational program that I do at my job, the base in Roxbury. And the Since the Sandbox podcast was started September 1st, 2019 by myself and my two co-hosts, Kevin Sinatra, Louis Arenello. We're starting off the Pro Bowl. They're not doing any kickoffs this year. Kyler Murray's first pass actually batted in the air by Max Crosby and almost intercepted until right tackle Brian O'Neill batted that out of his hands. We do know that the Pro Bowl rules are going to be a little bit different this year. There's not going to be any kickoffs. They're going to do a spot and choose type of thing that they're actually trying out. Could be something that they're going to do continuously going forward, but we know that the NFL is always trying to do things in the safety of their players. Second down, Kyler Murray in the shotgun. Justin Jefferson with a 8 to 9 yard gain. We have a third and short coming on here. AFC on defense, but we're going to explain the NFC offense really quickly. We got Brian O'Neill, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, Laken Tomlinson, and DJ Humphries. All of these guys have done a great job holding up the offensive line this year. We have Dalvin Cook, Kyle Juszczyk, Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle. Guys, these are the starters. Like I said, along with Kyler Murray, we have a 3rd and 1 in the middle. Dalvin Cook gets the 3rd and 1. We do know what the Pro Bowl is like. Not too hard-hitting. We do know it's the All-Star game going on. But we do want to keep in mind that at the end of the season, a lot of these players have, dealt with injuries for a long period of time throughout the season, just toughed it out, so they're here more to have fun. On the defensive side for the AFC, the NFL sack leader, we have TJ Watt, JC Jackson, Trayvon Diggs is on the opposite side of the ball. I'm sure we'll be calling his name a lot. We actually called his name a little bit with the Pro Bowl Skills Showdown, where he actually participated in the best catch and actually had one of the best catches on the afternoon. Caught a ball in between his legs, did a front flip making a catch. I feel like that was really cool. Popping up on the screen here, talking about the amount of rushing attempts in last year's Pro Bowl. Total, there was 4 rushing attempts, so not expecting to see a lot of running the ball here. Kyler Murray on 2nd and 3, getting a first down to Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel had another great year and really got involved in different ways, out of the backfield, jet sweeps out of the wide receiver position. Something that the Pro Bowl is doing this year kind of to help, give back a little bit is they're doing some charity work. And the NFL Foundation is implementing an incentive program for the charitable causes of the players. Each player who is recognized for an in-game accomplishment may choose a charitable cause from among the charities the foundation supports at these levels. So throughout the game, we're going to be seeing a bunch of different things, such as defensive MVP, offensive MVP, touchdowns, tackles, interceptions. All those things are going to include charity donations, and the players will actually get to pick. On first down, we have Kyler Murray throwing an interception to lose Darius Leonard, the Colts, and he's returning that back for a touchdown. That's an absolutely crazy occurrence right on the first drive, already getting interesting. That's 6-0 for Team AFC, and what else is going to be interesting is how they do a lot of the scoring after the touchdowns. they're going to have some 3 and 4 point plays with certain down and distances. You'll also have the opportunity to keep the ball if you convert. Really interesting going on. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to check out our podcast, the Since the Sandbox podcast. What's up, Danielle? Danielle's in the other room cooking for me, making some gravy for after the game. Danielle also helped me out a lot setting up today, since I had to take her side of the room to do this on. So appreciate that, Danielle. Appreciate you making my overnight oats. Guys, like I said, we got the AFC scoring right here, 7-0. Converting in the NFC. We'll see about them getting the ball back. We do know that there is an opportunity for the AFC to retain the ball, but that is a pick six, 45-yard pick six there for the maniac, Darius Leonard. I'm sure Lou would be loving that if he was watching the Pro Bowl right now. But like I said, with the Since the Sandbox podcast, I have my co-host Lou and my co-host Kev. They're not able to join me today, but we decided to start this podcast right after we all graduated college, the two of them graduating from Suffolk and myself graduating from Salem State. And Lou actually was the first one of us to start with the podcast journey. Lou was doing the MMA countdown, and he also did Lou's Log. And Lou invited me on Lou's Log once, and I kind of really liked podcasting and being able to talk about the NFL. So with me doing that, I really made the motion to start our own podcast. So me and Lou were talking about doing one for football, and then we were talking about the idea with our other co-host Kev, and Kev pitched the idea of doing basketball. So that's why at Since the Sandbox we do football and basketball. And the reason why we're called Since the Sandbox is because we've gone to school together for a really long time, over 15 years. The two of them also went to college together. Like I said, I didn't go to college with them, but we were together from K2 all the way through 8th grade, and then went to East Boston High. And we always talk sports, just in friendly conversations and things like that. But we never thought, getting behind a microphone and doing it until, like I said, we all graduated college. And what it was, during my commute to Salem State, sometimes early in the morning, I didn't always want to listen to the radio. So the first podcast I actually listened to was that Move the Sticks podcast with Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah. And they did a lot of reporting on the NFL draft process and what a lot of the prospects were like, some scenarios with certain draft picks. And when they were doing that, I really just heard, a conversation, and it was done in a unique way. So I just felt that, we could do that when we make our conversations so just personal, but I feel like that's what makes the conversations enjoyable when you get to do it with some of your friends. And we were really young starting this. We were 23 years old, and that's a great opportunity to take advantage of time. And if we stuck with it and did it for a consistent amount of time, who knows what'll happen. And now here I am commentating my first game. So I hope you guys all like my shirt, my Born and Raised in Eastie shirt. The Since the Sandbox podcast is a big part of the East Boston community. If you guys like this, you can head over to sincethesandbox.net and you can get some of yours now. And we have the AFC retaining the ball. A little check down here to Jonathan Taylor, who had the best rushing season. I think he had over 1,900 scrimmage yards, actually. Really interesting. That play, I believe, was actually just to keep possession. Jonathan Taylor getting subbed out right now. So we'll see what happens. NFC is going to take over the ball right on that spot where the AFC turned it over. We have Kirk Cousins coming out. Little quarterback switched. Last drive, we had Kyler Murray. Now we have Kirk Cousins, who is the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings are going through a head coaching change right now. They had Mike Zimmer, who was a great defensive coach, but that team never really was able to get past anything with the Green Bay Packers. We do know the great wide receiver core and offensive weapons they have with Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins has been very complimentary playing in a dome, but their problem has always been, really just getting over that big game. What's up, Vin? A lot of Jets jerseys in the Pro Bowl. Guys, Big Vin was really one of the first people to get football involved in our life, going to the McKay schoolyard, the stadium, and just being a quarterback way back when after school on a daily basis. So always always remember those days. It's crazy. You can't see too many 8 to 12 kids going to playgrounds now and playing a pickup football game because they all play it at home. Whether that's with the video games and things like that. So always love being able to play some football, some schoolyard ball. We always had fun together. We got the NFC here, 2nd and 10. Mike Evans lined up outside, wondering what his next couple of years are going to be like with Tampa Bay. And without Tom Brady, we have Alvin Kamara getting the first down here. You guys, if you're watching the game, can really see that there's really not too much tackling going on, more of a wrap-up type thing. Now they're doing a little flashback to earlier in the week. They had the little dodgeball skills competition going down. Justin Jefferson winning that with the one-handed catch, as we're seeing here. That's a W for the NFC. We have 3rd and 2 lined up. We'll see if the NFC can get a first down here. Maybe see an odd rushing attempt. Definitely not. That did not happen. Pass to Deebo Samuel in the middle of the field. Deebo Samuel was lined up right next to his teammate George Kittle. George Kittle, another great year at the tight end position. Boston Chris, I know that's my guy, Christoph. Guys, Christoph is an amazing person. Really cool that I got introduced with his family at the base, and his son Christoph Jr. is an amazing podcaster. Is actually part of our Jumping Bases podcast program, and he's going to be a superstar one day. I really wish I had the opportunity at his age to really learn and take part in some of the conversations that he gets to take part in, but a lot of his voice and things that he says is really intelligent for someone his age. So Christoph, I know you're watching right now, and I can't wait to see your YouTube channel one day. We were definitely talking about that last week. And got an update with the game. We do have the NFC getting a touchdown. Kyle Juszczyk with a jumping touchdown here, a little 14-yard play. Guys, Kyle Juszczyk is a really versatile player in the NFL. We know he's positioned as a fullback, can line up at tight end. We've seen him get the ball handed off to him. He's gotten, a lot of carries. He's gotten a lot of catches. Has been a part of Kyle Shanahan's offense for quite some time. So it's not a surprise to see him follow him over to San Francisco. I'm going to take a quick water break really quickly. A lot of talking. Got a quick dry mouth. All right, we got 7-7 going on in this Pro Bowl. Christoph, thank you. Appreciate the support. And I can't wait to reflect on this a little bit on Wednesday. Guys, Christoph originally from Beachmont, so we got that Eastie love now in Southie. His family, they're absolutely amazing. Talking to them all the time. Christoph always educates Christoph Jr. on a lot of things going on in the world, and that's going to be a real advantage for him. So a story that I really wanted to get to today. Uncle Richie, what's going on? Nice to see you. AFC by 10. I love it. Interested to hear what you have on the game. I'm sure you got a couple two-treat things going on in there. But I really wanted to talk about how I became a Giants fan. It's going to be a really interesting story. Quickly, my Uncle Richie just joined in, and he's actually a Dallas Cowboys fan. So a little NFC rivalry, but a couple years ago, first Christmas seeing him in a little bit, got me a New York Giants hoodie. We got a picture because he had his Dallas hoodie on. That was really cool. Could still have some love during the rivalries, right? But how I became a Giants fan, guys, I've been a Giants fan for just about my whole life as far as, understanding football. And what it really came down to was, I played Madden a lot as a kid, had the PlayStation 2 hooked up in Winthrop when we were living with my mom, me and my brother Matt. I think Matt's listening at the Ruggiero Funeral Home right now at work. Hot at work, we'll see. But yeah, we would always play Madden back in the day, probably starting off with, Madden 2001, 2002, at about 6 years old. And I always played as the Giants, and there was never a reason for that. And when I did do that, I fell in love playing with Tiki Barber. He was always smooth, was always versatile, could catch the ball out the backfield, can run in between the tackles. And that's really, what was my introduction to the Giants. Then obviously, Michael Strahan was there, seeing how great that defense was. Obviously, Eli Manning, one of my favorite players of all time to this point. I mean, he set me up to have some of my best football memories that I've experienced. My girlfriend Danielle, who's making pasta and overnight oats for me in the kitchen right now. Famous Danielle Elliott, I should say. She's 500,000, almost 600,000 on TikTok, so make sure to go follow her if anybody likes to go see some makeup looks. But yeah, just really falling in love with that Giants team. Eli Manning in 2004 coming in a really unique scenario, replaced Kurt Warner, who at that time, was obviously a former part of the greatest show on turf, one of the best offenses to ever be assembled. And then coming over there, it was probably a hard decision for Tom Coughlin to make and have Eli Manning come in. We have an interception in the game. Oh, it's not the interception. They were trying to retain the ball. It was a 4th and 15 thrown as a bomb for the AFC. He's going to get wrapped up. Oh, he pitched it. He pitched it to Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore, another Cole, had a great year. AFC is going to get the ball back. We'll see what's going to happen there. But, Eli Manning clearly had some growth before that 2007 and 2011 Super Bowl. And obviously, a lot of my family are Patriots fans. Got some Ravens fans, obviously told you guys some Colts fans. So we're a very diverse background as far as sports go. But thank you guys for the chat. Just checking out the chat on YouTube Live. So if you guys are listening on Colorcast, don't be afraid to come and see some visual on YouTube Live. You guys can also see this on sincethesandbox.net on our live tab. Guys, the website was made by myself, so if you guys like that, feel free to share. Was a little cool skill that I learned trying to pass that along. We do have another touchdown in the game. Justin Herbert throwing a touchdown to Mark Andrews. Guys, the numbers are flying in this Pro Bowl right now. Still trying to get through my Giants story. But Justin Herbert had a great year. The Chargers just sadly missed the playoffs. We saw the Raiders have a late year push and get in with their whole scenario. But what a great precision throw from Justin Herbert to Mark Andrews, who led the tight end position in receptions, reception yards, and reception touchdowns this year. And now, relating this to fantasy football, I actually drafted Darren Waller really high this year, and it didn't work out too well for me. And the reason for that, obviously, Darren Waller had an up and down year. The Raiders had an up and down year. But, I always brag when it comes to fantasy football that the tight end position is the biggest difference-making position in the NFL. And you can average, from the quarterback position, 15 to 18 points. And you can probably find that on a weekly basis on a fantasy football league. But, really getting, 10 to 12 plus points from the tight end position compared to, 5 or 6 from a tight end, that just catching the ball for 40 yards and you're hoping for a touchdown to really make a difference, would be interesting. So, that's why I went tight end position early. Next year, I'm going to have to reevaluate, looking to see who's going to be healthy at that position. A lot of the free agency acquisitions going around the league. And I do have some cap space scenarios that I'm eventually going to talk about with you guys. Have some of the top impending free agents. I did my homework, guys. I do have some notes. I actually was going to show you them, but I don't want to touch it because I feel like I won't be able to get it set back up. So we're going to leave it there just for a second. Going to take another quick water break really quickly. All right. Thank you. So getting back to the Giants fan, back in 2007, everyone was really rooting for the Patriots to go 17-0, do the impossible, pull off what the Dan Marino Dolphins couldn't pull off way back when. But I had some heart, had some hope. Up in my room, if anyone comes by the house, I do have the 2 Super Bowl catches. David Tyree Super Bowl catch on Marvin Harrison in the middle of the field. The helmet catch, the famous helmet catch. And I also have The best ball I've ever seen thrown in a football game, the Eli Manning throw to Mario Manningham on the left sideline, right in front of the Patriots staff. I have both of those lined up to my fantasy football championship trophy this year. I got that trophy last year in 2020. This past season, I just won what was called the Thaddeus Fantasy League. We are now changing that to the Sandbox Fantasy League. Just to go with the Since the Sandbox brand. Once again, if you guys do not know what Since the Sandbox is, make sure to check out the Since the Sandbox podcast. It's a podcast I started with my two fellow co-hosts, Kevin Sinatra and Louis Arenello. We always talk, consistent football and basketball, giving you guys some YouTube content, the social media love. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at since.the.sandbox and also Since the Sandbox on Facebook. Always doing some polls on there, always doing some things to really get our community, our fan base engaged and involved. I'm going to check the comments really quickly on YouTube. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything, missing anybody. All right, we're all up to date. That's awesome. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the cast right now. I have Patrick Mahomes throwing a big bomb down the field, incomplete to Travis Kelce. That was to retain possession. The ball is going back to the NFC. Guys, 14-7 and only 5 minutes gone in the game. 9:19 left on the clock in the first quarter. Russell Wilson is about to come in the game for the NFC. Like I said, Matt LaFleur is coaching the NFC here in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. First and 10, got a new wide receiver coming out, CeeDee Lamb from the Dallas Cowboys. Uncle Richie, I'm sure you're hoping CeeDee Lamb can take over the NFL next year. We'll see what's going to happen with Zeke and Amari Cooper. Looks like they were kind of on a slower gear than previous time that we've seen in the past. Also, guys, got to shout out Kyle Pitts. What a year he had. We've never seen a rookie tight end come in and catch for over 1,000 yards. Now we need to keep in mind what that Atlanta offense was looking like. It wasn't great. He probably got force-fed the ball a little bit, but we'll see if they can be a little bit more productive next year. Guys, Russell Wilson completes a pass to James Conner for a couple of yards. James Conner was actually, as part of the Since the Sandbox Fantasy Award Show, was my one-year wonder, and I know that he's had a lot of great years past in Pittsburgh. He was the bell cow there, but coming to Arizona, he wasn't expected to, necessarily carry the load. Chase Edmonds was actually supposed to be the back until midway through the year. It just kind of seemed that James Conner was taking a lot of the production, and he, I believe, led the NFL from the running back position in touchdowns. I want to say he had close to 16 total touchdowns. I had him in fantasy football. Pulled off a trade in the middle of the year with friend Ricky Falcucci. And I told you guys I had Darren Waller. I traded Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley for... who did I trade him for? I traded him for Eli Mitchell. I traded him for James Conner. I traded him for Zach Ertz and also A.J. Green. Believe it or not, that trade actually worked out in my scenario. The players that I had, even though I did have more quantity, outscored the guys I gave away. I ended up getting some wins and it prevented me from going winless. I know I talked about a couple minutes ago being a fantasy champion, but you can't always predict injuries. Drafted J.K. Dobbins the Saturday. He tore his ACL. Went to go pick up Gus Edwards. Tore his ACL. So that was just kind of my luck. I had Lamar Jackson as well. We know that after week 11 or 12, he was pretty banged up. Didn't get the opportunity to finish up. Huntley came in. Did play some great ball for the Baltimore Ravens, but sadly wasn't enough. The Ravens were actually one of my biggest surprises in the NFL this year, along with the Bengals. We know that the Bengals finished the year 10-7 and actually went on to the Super Bowl. We'll see what's going to happen next week, next Sunday. I'm really excited to watch the Super Bowl. I will not be commentating the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I'm going to check up on the YouTube really quickly. My Uncle Richie made a comment, Lamb will never reach full potential unless they hire Sean Payton. Very interesting. I'm not a fan of Mike McCarthy either. Neither will Dak. McCarthy has no offensive knowledge to get the best out of these guys. Uncle Richie, I'm not fond of Mike McCarthy being over there. I do feel like that really hampered Ezekiel Elliott's skill at the running back position. And he just doesn't seem like a guy that wants to run the ball in between the tackles. And Sean Payton would be a great get over there. I do think that they do have some other great coaches. I know Dan Quinn was one of the guys I wanted for the New York Giants job. I also talked about wanting Brian Flores, and I'm sad he didn't get the position. Also sad about the Brian Flores news because too much of that really goes on in the world today. Would really like to see a lot of guys like Brian Flores, Coach Flo, Eric Bieniemy, and a bunch of other black coaches get the opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL because it's only deserving. And when you look around and you see all the head coaches in the NFL, the only one that's really consistent that you can see being there that's black is Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin is obviously a great coach. We'll see what happens. Guys, the NFC is in the red zone right now. Russell Wilson, who was the Skills Showdown winner for the precision passing, is lined up here, 4th and goal, but we do have a timeout taken by the AFC. Guys, Russell Wilson is in an interesting scenario. He's coming off of his first year where he didn't go above 500. I think things are really getting interesting between him and Pete Carroll. Going to be tough to see what happens in Seattle. And we know that Russell Wilson doesn't have the defense to support him anymore. So going to be interesting, the decision, the direction, and what they choose to do. Chris Carson's always injured. Rashad Penny did have a good second half of the season. So we'll see if that's the hand that they tend to ride going into next year. Going to be really interesting. But we do know that another thing that's been an option is Russell Wilson being traded. And I know that there's a lot of teams in the NFL that would benefit from the services of a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and one that makes a lot of great decisions, makes a lot of money. We have a drop pass from Kyle Juszczyk. We do have that turned into a tip ball and an interception for J.C. Jackson. Guys, J.C. Jackson is a free agent this year. Going to be interesting to see what the Patriots decide to do with J.C. Jackson. Past couple years, he's arguably been the best cornerback in the NFL. I know a lot would argue Trayvon Diggs because of his interception totals, but along with his interception totals, he's also let up the most amount of yards this year. That's something really interesting to keep track of. And like I said, with Trayvon Diggs having 11 interceptions, J.C. Jackson having 8, I definitely would rather the services of J.C. Jackson. Have to shout out the rookie from the Detroit Lions. His name just came off the screen, but he also was up there for some of the top interceptions in the NFL. Guys, the NFC has 17 plays. The AFC only has 3. AFC backed up first and 10 right now on their own 2 because of that interception, running the ball with Nick Chubb up the middle, only getting a couple of yards. You can really tell that the lack of tackling is really negating the running game, which is why we're seeing such a pass-happy offense. Patrick Mahomes in the huddle. 2nd down. We'll see what the AFC is going to do here. Cheers. Second and 8 here for the AFC. We have Hunter Renfrow lined up on the outside. Pass to him completed in the middle of the field. Tyreek Hill was lined up opposite of him. We saw Tyreek Hill kind of give up on the little race that he was competing in, the fastest man challenge, which is won by Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, another great Dallas Cowboy. Uncle Richie, that looks like that defense actually has some solid pieces. We'll see if they can stay consistent. That team will not go another 12-13 win season unless that defense can complement the offense. Patrick Mahomes here on 1st down. Passing a check down to Nick Chubb in the middle of the field. Not making much progress, about a 5-yard play. Still inside of their own 50. Guys, like I was talking about with some big surprises in the NFL, we had the Ravens come in last place in their division with an 8-9 record. We do know that a large part of that was because of injuries. But with the Bengals, their defense has been playing, pretty well, and I think that's been a slept-on part of their team and their success. So, that's going to be something that they're really going to have to make a focal point in the Super Bowl, especially if you're going to want to shut down the Los Angeles Rams. Cooper Kupp Odell Beckham. And then if you go to the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. I mean, you're talking about some of the biggest names at the respective positions. So let's keep that in mind. I do have a Super Bowl favorite. I do have some things I want to discuss with you guys for the Super Bowl, but you're going to have to hang around a little bit longer for that. I can't just give you my Super Bowl preview in the first quarter of this game. There is 3 minutes left in the game. Nick Chubb running the ball for a first down. The team is still inside of their own 40, inside of their own 50. I will say I do like these Pro Bowl jerseys a little bit better compared to the past. They went back to the blue and white. Past couple years they had the gold and silver, some off colors. But I do like the teams being able to represent, the franchises that they play for. I like the helmets. I also wouldn't mind, a game where everybody's wearing a different jersey, because I still think, that you should really represent your team, because at the end of the day, they're still, paying you the money. We do have a little trick play here. Stephon Diggs is about to make a pass. He's running around the pocket, throws the ball complete here to Mark Andrews. We saw him do a little bit of scrambling, looked a little bit like Josh Allen there. I know my co-host Kev is still hurt over the Buffalo Bills loss. I know that coin toss rule in overtime is extremely controversial. We'll see what's going to happen in the offseason, if the NFL is going to, really take that into consideration, or if it's something that they're just kind of going to play out, and we'll see what happens. Guys, also on Since the Sandbox podcast, I did say that we want to touch a little bit on our community. We do have a series that we started last week. It's called the Meet the People series. And Rich, yes, Big Blue, that's right. Go Giants, proudly going to represent the Giants, even though through struggling times, you always got to stay loyal to your franchise. I just think, showing pride is definitely important. But like I said, getting back to the Meet the People series, if you guys are interested in great football and basketball content, go and check out our podcast, Since the Sandbox podcast. You guys can go to our website. You can go check us out on Apple. Check us out on Spotify. Wherever you guys listen to your favorite podcast. And you guys can check out some of the great sports content we have. But like I said, you can also check out our Meet the People series. We just started episode 1 last week with Joe Ruggiero. Guys, Joe Ruggiero is a funeral director in East Boston. My brother currently works for him and is currently working there right now. They might be watching live from work. But we had him on this Monday coming up. I have Kamari Williams, a Boston local rapper, Juxie, coming on. We're going to be talking about, his story and what he does for his community in Roxbury, along with his little podcast journey, because he's also my co-host on the Jumping Bases podcast. Rich, also a diehard Yankees fan. Sorry, I do have to disagree with you. Besides the New York Giants, everything else, I am Boston-based, Red Sox, Celtics. I do have a little bit of a past playing some hockey. I will say I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but if I did, I would be a Bruins fan. But the Yankees, the very great, very respectable franchise, would like to see them, with the talent that they have on their roster, be a little bit more successful. But I'm sure as a Yankee fan, that's something that you're hoping too. Patrick Mahomes on 4th and 12 throws an interception to Antoine Winfield, faking a pitch and continuing to carry it, going to take it back to the house. Antoine Winfield Jr. with a pick six. Too bad Antoine Winfield couldn't have done that during the NFC Championship. So the Bucs could have had a little bit more luck there. It's all good. I know it's going to be hard for Tampa Bay to get back on top without someone with the likes of Tom Brady. We do know what Tom Brady has meant to the NFL. We do know what he's meant for a lot of fans that have watched football over the past couple of years. And just have to say that, things in the NFL are always meant to be respected, always meant to witness greatness. But I will say it's been great being able to watch Tom Brady. I wasn't a huge Tom Brady fan, I'm going to be honest with you, but I do respect greatness when I see it. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever step foot on the turf, ever step foot on the grass. The Falcons example would just be one prime perfect example of, just being excellent, being being able at over 40 years old to go to Tampa Bay and just win, like he did, is absolutely crazy. And how he was able to stay healthy and stay so productive at an old age. Or you could say 44 years young, because I know a lot of people looking good in their 40s. 40s the new 20s now, I guess, right? We did have the end of the first quarter here, an incomplete 2-point conversion for the NFC. AFC is about to get the ball back. Rich, yes, you're right. Too much talent, too much money to always end up not making the World Series. I work at the base. The base is a youth program that helps kids from 6 all the way up to 18. Get their baseball working, softball, basketball working. But with that, also get the best of the academics. We also do some podcasting there. We also do esports, some robotics. So all of that has really been cool. Really being able to be engaged in a baseball way. Baseball throughout high school was my favorite sport. I felt like I was pretty good at baseball, but I didn't play baseball in college because had to work, had to go to school, and I knew I wasn't going to make it pro, so I had to stop at some time. So really just wanted to make sure that I was setting myself up to be in the best scenario going forward. I do still play in a couple of softball leagues. I will say softball has been fun. I do like it, and maybe not as much as baseball, but I also was a little bit more competitive with baseball than I am with softball. But now I just give back. I coach over at East Boston High School. I'm an assistant coach to Jeff Aranella, and we have a great staff. In this past fall, we won the Boston City Fall League that they did. We had 4 teams. It was East Boston High School, Southie XL Mix, and then we had Latin School and Boston Latin Academy. East Boston High ended up winning on top. Coaching the championship game was really cool, and having the experience that I do with a lot of the kids at East Boston High is unique because before I started working at East Boston High, before I started working at the base, I was over at the Salesian Boys and Girls Club, and I was a team director and a camp counselor for quite some time. And a lot of the kids that I had over at the Salesian Boys and Girls Club do go to the East Boston High School now. So that was always, a unique experience, being able to watch these kids grow up and them respect me the way they do. That was really cool. Need another water break, guys. Cheers really quickly. That's right, Christoph. I'm sure when you're saying agreed aged like fine wine, that we're referring to Tom Brady there. Gonna be interesting the direction the Tampa Bay Bucks decide to go with their quarterback position and with their team. So we'll see what's going on. I'm just trying to make sure that the commentating is working up on our website. I do see all the YouTube comments over here, so if you're watching, feel free to say hello in the comments. Ooh, excuse me. We just had an interception here. Myles Garrett taking the ball back and returning it on the 4th and 15 play to try and retain the ball for the NFC. Going to be interesting to see how these points work. Oh, it does count as 7, so now we'll see what the AFC does. Myles Garrett was partnered by Matt Judon, who had a great year for the New England Patriots here. Matt Judon had a lot of sack production coming from the Baltimore Ravens, and when we were talking about some of the free agents, I referred to Matt Judon as one of the best free agent signings in the NFL this year, just based on value, because his contract realistically is only about $8 million guaranteed per year. So with that, having the production that he did and Bill being able to have control of the defense, it was really great and it worked out. And the Patriots were another surprise team in the NFL this year, finishing 10-7. I don't know what the expectations were as far as playoffs and Super Bowl and things like that. The Buffalo Bills did had a really good year, and they were the favorite for some time, but so were the Pats too. I mean, Mac Jones as a rookie in here right now for the AFC just completed the 2-point conversion to Deontay Johnson, who's going to also be losing his quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, the last quarterback from that 2004 draft class. Blah, blah, blah. along with Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers. Sad to see him go. Sad to see the NFL greats of the past kind of move on, but always great to show the platform in the room for a lot of these young guys like Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, just to name a few of the young quarterbacks in the NFL. And, there are a lot of open quarterback scenarios. There are a lot of questionable quarterback scenarios around the NFL, and that's why the quarterback position is always, always, always the most essential in building a team, building a franchise. Gonna take another quick sip of water. So now, guys, I also want to talk about the community work that we do here at Since the Sandbox. So I feel like it's really important when you do have some sort of a platform, no matter how big or small it is, to use it for good. And, with us having a podcast, us having some following, just to share, we do have just about 23,000 total downloads for the Since the Sandbox podcast, and that's starting from September 1st, 2019, like I shared a little bit ago. So I do feel like, that is a pretty cool accomplishment. If you told me when I was starting podcasting, if I've had that many different people, 23,000 total downloads, I definitely would have told you no. I definitely wouldn't have, I never would have thought I'd be commentating a game. So, like I said, this is all a really cool experience, all surreal. I'm soaking it up. But the community work that we do, I decided in 2020 that we should do, was we had first our Since the Sandbox pop-up event. So what that was to really just get our community involved, have a day to, celebrate the anniversary of Since the Sandbox. And what we would do is we would give out some swag, some t-shirts, we give out some stickers, some lanyards, and we'd invite people down. We'd take some pictures just so everybody can get recognized, to see who our fans are, who our community is. And, really on top of that, just, really engage and socialize and just be able, since the past couple of years were crazy, to just see familiar faces from around the community. And, we were really young when we were doing that, and we had great turnouts. And last year, we did get some weather interruption. The rain ruined it, and we had to push it back. So we didn't get that great of a turnout. But our more important community work that we do is around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. So in Thanksgiving, we do our community can drive. Between the past 2 years, 2020 and 2021, we've gathered 2,600 cans to donate to the East Boston Community Soup Kitchen in the Crossroads Shelter. Just as a podcast, just making a couple posts on social media, and just trying to give back and get people involved. What people would do is they would either private message me, or leave a little comment on the post and say, hey, Steve, we have some packages here. I'm going to DM you what my address is. And that has been really cool seeing the amount of people help out and give back the way it did. And especially this past year in 2020, because I thought it was going to be a little bit slower than usual. Up until the last week and a half, we only had about 100 cans, so that means over 1,200 cans came within a week and a half. So that was a lot of running around for me. I'm usually the one fulfilling all of the community involvement, picking up the goods, buying the goods if people are donating money, and dropping them off, fulfilling them. And then we do some work on social media, like I said, sharing what we do, as well as sharing the accomplishment and impact that we have on our website. So if you haven't seen, go to sincethesandbox.net and you can see all of our accomplishments or our impact right on our impact slide. And then for Christmas, we've done our community toy drive. Our community toy drive was something that we started to help out Adrian Madaro, who is the Eastie State rep. He had his event, which is called Eastie's Elves, and when we were youth, myself, Kevin, and Lewis, we always performed at Eastie Elves, maybe by force. We went to Catholic school, East Boston Central Catholic, and we were part of the choir. And we would perform Christmas songs, Christmas carols at those events. Our parents would go. A lot of people from the community would go. And so, since COVID was going on, those events really weren't happening as often, or at least in person. So we still wanted to make sure that we were doing our part to help people that wanted to give back were still able to do so. So we went around. We would collect goods, like I said, collect gifts, and we would drop those off to Adrian, and Adrian can help put those towards his cause. Guys, we do have the second quarter in this game going on. There's 11 minutes and 50 seconds, 3rd and 6. The score is 22, AFC 13, NFC. The NFC does have the ball. They are driving. Like I said, it's 3rd and 6. 10 seconds left in the Excel clock. We'll see what we got here for a play. Oh, they might not get this playoff. They just got it with 0 seconds. Kyler Murray making a pass, dropping back. Batted down by Max Crosby once again. Max Crosby looks like he's done his homework here. That's his second batted pass on Kyler Murray. And guys, Max Crosby is somebody that he was not, that top pick. He was not somebody that was a highly coveted college player. He was somebody that took advantage of an opportunity and was really able to create a name for himself. Really stood out this year, opposite of Yannick Ngakoue, who just got traded to the Raiders. Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue were two of Pro Football Focus best rated pass rushers. Obviously, besides TJ Watt, who had 22.5 sacks. Kyler Murray in the middle of the field on 4th and 6. Max Crosby in there. Tip pass. We have, Mike Evans, a catch. Looked like he mossed Denzel Perryman there. And Mike Evans making a little in between the legs slam dunk on the goalpost. Surprisingly, he didn't get flagged, because we do know in the NFL, if you touch the goalpost, you usually do get flagged. But what a catch by Mike Evans. I'm sure that'll be on You Got Mossed before the Super Bowl. Really interesting. But going back to since the Sandbox community events, last year we raised over 300 toys for that Eastie Elves event. This year we had over 150 toys. So in 2 years, 450 toys. That was really cool. Like I said, being able to have that impact and helping families provide this year when, resources weren't as easy to come by. And just like they were last year, we know the winter has been a crazy time with everything going on with COVID. We've seen some recent surges of crazy different variants. The 2-point attempt was just completed. Kyler Murray passed to CeeDee Lamb at the back of the end zone. A little toe drag swag, as Nate Burleson will say. Also a big fan of Good Morning Football, guys. Good Morning Football is a great show. Pete Schrager, Kyle Brandt, Kay Adams, and Nate Burleson was formerly on it. I know they are always switching up the cast now. Michael Robinson's in there often, sometimes MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew. And I like seeing Sean O'Hara, my New York Giant, in there as well. Always fun to see, different personalities going on the show. Chris Carter was on last week. Very fond of Chris Carter, the great NFL former wide receiver. We're going to take a quick water break while we go to commercial. Having some trouble putting my cap back on, as you guys can see. So guys, once again, make sure to go and check out the Since the Sandbox podcast. You guys can see it right here on my shirt, Born and Raised in Eastie. Guys, these shirts are also sold at Meridian Market in East Boston. If you haven't been to Meridian Market, go there, get a sub, Meridian Special, tell them Steve from Since the Sandbox sent you. You guys will see these t-shirts up there. I have about 100 of them right in front of me right now. If only you guys could see my crazy setup that I have going on. In my room, I took over Danielle's side of the room. Danielle, my famous girlfriend, on TikTok. Make sure to go and follow her. Check out her makeup looks. But guys, we're going to get into our Super Bowl preview very soon once we get to the end of this quarter here. So make sure you guys stay tuned for my Super Bowl preview. But like I said, guys, go to Instagram at Since the Sandbox or Facebook at Since the Sandbox. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe. Also on YouTube, I know you guys are watching from YouTube Live right now. I hope you guys are enjoying it. This is a really different experience. I am liking it. I'm also doing this on Colorcast. Colorcast is an audio only. So that's why I have this microphone here. I have another one up here. Just always trying to provide great audio quality for you guys that are spending your time. I know we do have some people in the call. Some of you guys have been with me for an hour already, and that's amazing. I sincerely appreciate it, more than you guys would ever know. I did think that for a good part of this I'd be talking to myself, so I definitely appreciate the love. Like I said, go and follow us on Facebook, Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to our podcast, you can do that on YouTube, on Apple, or on Spotify. I'm also part of another podcast, like I said, the Jumping Bases podcast. I do that with my co-host Kamari Williams, who will be joining me on our Meet the People series from Since the Sandbox. You guys can check out some of that on our social media or go to our last podcast episode to see our episode with Joe Ruggiero. Something cool that we do on our rundown with YouTube is that we always do our positional rankings. So every week, every Monday, I'm going to be dropping a new episode on YouTube. I already did my safeties, I already did my cornerbacks. My linebacker post is scheduled, and I'm going to be getting to my defensive line this week. And like I said, I'm just going to be giving you a top 10 from the previous season. So this would be the 2021-2022 season on my positional rankings. Christoph, thank you. Appreciate you, my man. You've been in here from the jump. You guys really motivate me. You guys have a great little one there, and he really makes me think in different ways all the time. So loving getting to know you guys. Only gonna grow more. I can't wait to see Christoph grow up with that beautiful long hair of yours, Christoph. Guys, we have a completion on first down from the AFC. A little check down here to Jonathan Taylor. Like I said, the second quarter, we have 10 minutes left. Then I'm going to get into my Super Bowl preview. Going to be really interesting to see what goes on with this Super Bowl. Like I said, we have the Rams at the Bengals. I didn't think that we would be seeing the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I thought we would be seeing the Kansas City Chiefs once again. I would say it's shocking seeing Joe Burrow in his second year. Wow, we have a rush for a first down here with Jonathan Taylor. Probably about the fifth rush of the game. Tackled by Shaq Barrett and Devin White, teammates. Mac Jones is in here for the AFC. It looks like Patrick Mahomes may be done for the day. He's on the sidelines having some conversations. Of course he is. Who doesn't want to talk to the superstar, the $500 million man, or $500 million man, Patrick Mahomes. We have the AFC lined up in a heavy package. Tyreek Hill outside. Travis Kelce just motioned. This pass intended for Mark Andrews, incomplete. Was really close, but I'm sure Mark Andrews isn't going to do anything crazy to line himself up to get a nice lick and nice hit at the goal line. Guys, they have here up on the screen Patrick Mahomes' accolades to this point: 4 Pro Bowl selection, Super Bowl MVP, 2018 NFL MVP. He won Super Bowl in the past, 2 AFC championships. Patrick Mahomes is doing great things, amazing things at the quarterback position. I do think that there was an interesting conversation that we did have on our Meet the People series. I asked my guest, Joe Ruggiero, if he thought that Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers in an all-time conversation was really close, and he shared some great things. He did share that it's kind of hard in Patrick Mahomes' first 5 or 6 seasons to really judge what his career is going to look like, and I absolutely respect that. But what I will say is, making 4 straight appearances in the AFC Championship, not being one and done after having a bye, all of that certainly matters when it comes down to looking and comparing careers. And I know that's not what the NFL is about, but when we're fans of the game, we always like to settle things down on just as far as rankings and things like that. We do have on 3rd and 4, we have a touchdown pass. An incomplete touchdown pass from Mac Jones to Stephon Diggs. Looked like Stephon Diggs, his feet were out in the back of the end zone. I think the AFC is going to go for it here on 4th down. Stephon Diggs does not get both feet in bounds. They are showing here on the screen. Mac Jones, what a development from a rookie quarterback. I will say that, a player with his skill set who he can escape the pocket, but he's not the most mobile guy. That doesn't really seem like the athleticism trend that we're going in the NFL. Mac Jones does come off a little bit more like a pocket passer rather than anything else. So I think it's interesting the Patriots found ways to make that work this year, especially, like I said, we have guys like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, who have great escapability. On 4th and 4, we had a pass intended for Hunter Renfrow. That pass was broken up by Antoine Winfield Jr. just through the hands of Stephon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs was there in the play. Looks like he's in his brother's face right now talking some smack. Can only imagine what that experience is like. If I was lined up across the field for my brother, you bet your butt I would be talking some smack. Because, I'm always trying to get the better of that. Another quick water break. Cheers to that. So, guys, with the recent news of the 49ers, not making it to the Super Bowl, that was a tough game that they had versus the Rams. Was interesting to see how that worked between the 49ers and Rams up until this past game, the NFC Championship. The 49ers were 6-0 against the Rams. Kyle Shanahan was 6-0 against the Rams. So it was really interesting to see the Rams get the better of them. I think what else is going to be interesting is what happens this offseason with Jimmy Garoppolo. And he does have a very winning record, for the 49ers when he is healthy. That's just the thing with Jimmy G is, when he's healthy is a big question that you want to consider. So I'm not sure what, as far as dollars are going to look like for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that'll be really interesting if he signs an extension with the team that he goes to. But also the compensation, I feel like being involved is going to be interesting because I'm not sure if, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be worth a first-round pick, like I said, with his injury history. And when he was moved from the Patriots to the 49ers, he wasn't even moved for a first-round pick. That was a second-round pick. It was a high second-round pick. But we know all the deal with that trade scenario. So I think that's an interesting thing. And also what I think is interesting, a different perspective that not too many people are really talking about is what happens with the Rams after this year. Because, the Rams, they're in a scenario where I don't want to say they're not set for the future, but when you sacrifice draft picks as much as they do, I feel like it's really interesting to see how you build and assemble a team. And I know that a pro or a good thing for the Rams is after this season, going into next season, they're going to lose the contracts of Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, and one other player. But I do know that Robert Woods is another big contract that they have. The other player that I was just talking about was Todd Gurley. And, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see the Rams' direction and choices when it comes to revamping for that team. What direction do they really want to go? Do they want to re-sign Odell? Is Robert Woods somebody that's going to be on the move? Is, reloading on that defense a priority? We'll see what's going to happen. I do know that Andrew Whitworth is very old. Left tackle for the Rams. Not sure if he's going to be healthy to play for the Super Bowl, but was a former left tackle of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm sure that's going to be a position that the Rams will have to look to replace going into next year. Russell Wilson on first down from his own 10 throws a bomb. This pass is intercepted by Derwin James, intended for Justin Jefferson. Looks like the AFC is going to get the ball back. The score is 22 AFC, 21 NFC. Really interesting to see how quick that scoring changed. I do know that there is going to be a ton of points scored inside of this Pro Bowl. Like I said, there's going to be a ton of offense going on in this game. What else we can look forward to next week is the NFL Honors, where we're going to see, our MVP named, our Rookies of the Year, Offense and Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. And this is actually a Since the Sandbox episode that we already produced, so if you guys would like to hear what my results are, you guys can go and check them out on the podcast. I can't be dropping you guys spoilers on the live. You guys got to go and listen to the audio for yourself. I will say that the MVP race is going to be very fun to watch, see how it kind of breaks out. The over was a lock. The over's always a lock for the Pro Bowl, Uncle Richie. I'm sure you took it with all your experience there. But just like I was saying, things are definitely going to get interesting. For that, we have 2nd and 6 here for the AFC. Mac Jones is still in the game. Actually, no, we have a quarterback switch. Justin Herbert in the game. Najee Harris right down in front of him. Interesting what's going to happen in Pittsburgh. Pass completed on the left sideline to Mark Andrews. Pushed out of bounds by Saints safety. Quick water break. So, guys, 6 minutes left in this half. Now, we are going to hear my Super Bowl preview, what I think is going to happen in the Super Bowl, and go a little bit more in depth about that. I know we're all really excited for that to happen. What I'm really excited for, along with the Super Bowl, is the food that I'm going to eat with it. But like I was saying with the NFL honors, the MVP race is going to be interesting. Aaron Rodgers' name is involved in that. Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, and I would say that Tom Brady is still a good consideration for that award. Here we have a little handoff to Najee Harris, taken for about 5 or 6 yards. That was a pitch to the left. Looked like he wanted to run pretty hard, but everybody knows what the Pro Bowl is like. Very lackadaisical in this game. 2nd and 5 here. The AFC is going in. Going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. They can put some points on the board. I know a field goal is not an option. This ball is on the 7-yard line. Justin Herbert here in the shotgun. Stephon Diggs and Mark Andrews out wide to the left. Hunter Renfrow in the slot to the right. We'll see what we got here for 2nd and 5. Touchdown back of the end zone. Mark Andrews got this touchdown. Chandler Jones trying to slap that out of his hands at the end of the play. We have 28-21. We'll see what the AFC is going to do for the next side, the next part of the score. Maybe we'll go for 2 here and see what we can do. Good call, Uncle Richie, with a touchdown. 5 minutes left here in the second quarter. We do have the team going for 2. Travis Kelce running off the field really quickly. Mark Andrews staying on. We'll see what the AFC has for a play. Justin Herbert looks like he's in the pistol. Yep, in the pistol. Najee Harris right next to him. Jonathan Taylor right behind him. I want to say fake handoff and a pitch. Handoff to Najee Harris. You can't run it up the middle in the Pro Bowl. There's barely any tackle going on. But we do have the AFC up 7. NFC is about to get the ball back. Guys, for the NFL honors, like I was just saying, another award I think is really interesting that'll be talked about is Coach of the Year. And I do know that there's a lot of candidates that can get Coach of the Year. I'm sure Bill Belichick is in consideration. I'm sure Mike Vrabel is in consideration. A lot of guys around the NFL. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan's another name that should be involved, because that starting off the season, that 49ers team was not doing too good. To have the turnaround that they did, I feel like that was pretty good. All right, I'm going to get started with the Super Bowl preview. Hold on, I'm going to check out Uncle Richie. Uncle Richie said, I made a professional bet, comeback player of the year, Von Miller. What you think? I definitely think that Von Miller can get comeback player of the year. I will say that when it comes to awards, the quarterback position is always favored when it comes to awards. So with the likes of Joe Burrow being in the Super Bowl and Dak having one of the best offenses, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two guys got it. But Von Miller going over to the Rams, that'll definitely help your case with comeback player of the year, because he definitely was more productive on the Rams than he was with the Broncos. Absolutely, for sure. But getting into the Super Bowl, want to talk about some X factors for the Bengals, talk about some X factors for the Rams, what I think is going to happen in this game, and just kind of what to expect during the Super Bowl. Can't forget that we're going to have a historic, arguably the best NFL halftime show of all time. Dr. Dre, Kendrick, Snoop, Eminem. I mean, come on. Come on. Absolutely looking forward to that. And hoping to be at a Super Bowl one day. That's definitely a bucket list thing. Saving my money so when the Giants do go, I'll be able to go. But maybe I'll get the opportunity to commentate Super Bowl one time. That would be cool. Maybe just not from my bedroom. Would like to be there, get the full experience. That'd be nice. But for the Bengals going against the Rams, I think they have an interesting outlook, and having 2 weeks to prepare for this Rams team is definitely something that's advantageous. What I will say is it's going to be hard to run the ball on the Rams, but scheming up run-like plays for Joe Mixon, I feel like is very essential to kind of keep that offense moving. On 4th and 15 to try and retain the possession, the AFC does turn the ball back over to the NFC. Getting back to the Super Bowl preview. So what I mean by that is Joe Mixon should be involved. Would like to see a lot of screens in the passing game, and maybe even just outside screens to Jamar Chase. I'm going to assume that Jalen Ramsey is going to follow him around the field, line up across from him everywhere he goes. And, with it being the Super Bowl, the best platform in arguably all the sports, I think they're definitely going to try and shut down their best player. But the good thing with the Bengals is they have depth at the wide receiver position. And, T. Higgins is going to have to play a big part in the Super Bowl. Tyler Boyd's going to have to play a big part in the Super Bowl. We do have a dropped snap, a fumbled snap here. Jeremy Grant picking it up here from the Chicago Bears on this messed up first down play. Myles Garrett in there to make the tackle. The snap was on the ground, so can't really blame Justin Herbert there. But going back to, like I said, the Super Bowl, a lot of guys are going to have to touch the ball for the Bengals offense. That offensive line is definitely going to have to hold up and play a little bit better than they did for sure. I mean, when the Bengals played versus the Titans, 9.5 sacks, that ain't going to cut it. Absolutely no way. Aaron Donald will be in there licking his chops. Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, they'd all be doing the same thing with the opportunity. So the Bengals are definitely going to have to find a way to, really control that line of scrimmage. And ultimately, I think that's what the game is going to come down to, is who can control the line of scrimmage for longer in the game. And this 4 quarters, we've seen, through halves, how quick momentum can change, how a play can absolutely affect what is going on. So the Bengals are going to have to play mistake-free football. Joe Burrow's definitely going to have to win the game by passing. That is absolutely something that's going to have to take place. But the Rams, when it comes down to them, the Bengals are going to have to force Matthew Stafford to, really make some tough throws. And we seen, last week, Joe Ruggiero talked about it on the Meet the People series that Jaquiski Tartt dropped an interception right in the middle of the field that could have changed the outcome of the game. And we talked about how hard Jaquiski Tartt was really on himself about dropping that ball, because it would have changed the outcome of the game. I mean, maybe the 49ers would have had the opportunity to go down the field and score there. So that's always interesting. And if they have, Matt Stafford make a couple of decisions like that, that can really swing the momentum. We know how quick the Bengals can score points, so I think that's definitely going to be something important. Here on 1st and 10, a pass completed to Alvin Kamara. Here we got here 2nd down for the NFC. Going back to, like I said, the Super Bowl, I do think the team that turns the ball over the most is most likely going to be the team that loses the game. As far as the Rams go, I think it's going to be important that the running back position, whoever is handling the ball, they can't fumble. It just can't happen. And we know with Cam Akers, that's happened a couple of times. It happened twice and almost cost them the game in the 49ers game. But having a veteran back like Sony Michel, I feel like that'll really be helpful. He does have the Super Bowl and playoff experience from the Patriots, but it is a little crazy to see how it worked out. Sony Michel was the other Georgia running back selected before Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb, I'm sure the Patriots wish that they originally drafted Nick Chubb. In my opinion, he clearly turned out to be the superior player between the two. But going through the draft process is really tough. And if you do like the NFL draft process, I will be doing it. I will be reviewing players, just creating, mock drafts, seeing where players are going to be going, doing some comparisons to current players, players from the past, and things like that. And just, like I said, just really trying to keep you guys updated with everything I think you need to know with the NFL draft process. So, like I said, you guys make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be starting our homework with the draft process right after the Super Bowl. And we'll give you guys our top prospects from every position. Going to the Rams side on the Super Bowl, like I was just at with the running back position, I think Odell is going to have to be heavily involved in this game, and I think it's good that Cooper Kupp had the great year that he did, don't get me wrong. But one guy isn't going to be able to win this alone, and having Odell involved, we saw the last game he had 10 catches and was very productive. I'm pretty sure he caught for almost 120 yards. So I'd like to see that replicated. And I mean, I think it's absolutely crazy the narrative that was out there that Odell was washed. I mean, clearly Baker Mayfield in that offense wasn't designed to complement a pass-heavy wide receiver like Odell or Jarvis Landry. So the fact that they were paying both of those guys close to $40 million, absolutely crazy. But I'm sure at the point in time that they thought that that was going to make them better. The New York Giants also thought that getting rid of Odell was going to make them better. But we all see how that move worked out. In the end, Odell's really the person that won. He got away from the Giants. He got away from the Browns. He got an easy way to a Super Bowl. And in the past 4 weeks, he's made over $2 million in incentives. So I think Odell's doing all right. I will say if the Rams win, Odell's one of my favorite players in the NFL. I'm hoping to get an OBJ Super Bowl jersey. That would be really cool for me to have. I have an Odell jersey from the Giants, and when I left the Solution Boys and Girls Club, I was also gifted a Odell Beckham jersey. Have to shout out my guy Johnny Barillas. Really made sure the staff pulled together and appreciated me, so always have to shout out my guy. Me and Johnny go way back, went to high school together, worked together for many years. Funny going on in the AFC Pro Bowl, AFC and NFC Pro Bowl, we have Trayvon Diggs lined up in the red zone against Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs playing defensive back and Trayvon Diggs playing wide receiver. They keep throwing the ball to them, but the two of them are really just wrestling, fighting a lot right now. I'm sure those clips are going to be all over social media right after the game. But we'll see. I think they have them lined back up here again. Actually, Stefon Diggs playing defensive back on Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins dropping back. Two running backs in the backfield. We have a sack. Max Crosby getting to the quarterback. Matt Judon was in there as well. Guys, Max Crosby is the defensive name I keep saying for the day. I'm not sure if you can take a defensive MVP of the game. If you can, I would definitely look at taking Max Crosby. And like I said, the NFL Foundation is going to be making a $20,000 charity donation. So if Max Crosby did win, his charity would be benefited $20,000. Really cool to see the way that works out. I'm going to take a quick water break. On fourth down, Kirk Cousins drops back, makes a pass in the end zone, incomplete. Looks like the NFC turns the ball over to the AFC. AFC is going to be getting the ball inside their own 10-yard line. We'll see if they can make a drive and get down the field. Getting back to the Super Bowl preview, guys. Where I left off, I said the Rams, they should really be feeding Odell. I think Stafford has to be really cautious. And as far as coaching goes, I want to see Sean McVay get aggressive. And we know how good Sean McVay is when he's up at halftime. The only time he's ever lost a game when he's up at halftime was just to the 49ers. So I think that's an interesting stat for sure. But the Bengals are a team, even when they're behind 2 touchdowns, that their offense, just like this, can get back in the snap of a finger. So I really want to see them, eliminate them and then own the time of possession. I feel like that'll be really important for the Rams, knowing that they could probably run the ball a little bit better than the Cincinnati Bengals. So I feel like that's a really important X factor for the game. With 47 seconds here left in half, going to give you guys a Super Bowl prediction. So I do think that the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. That's the team I'm going to be rooting for. Excuse me. That's the team I'm going to be rooting for. That's the team I hope to win. But what I also will say is I recognize the scenario that the Bengals are in, and they're underdogs. Nobody thinks that they're going to win, and that's probably a favorable scenario for them. So I just gotta say, watch out for the Bengals. They're scary. I do have some squares. The squares are a little bit more intriguing than the bets are. I will say I don't like the spread of 4 on 2nd and 10 for the AFC. We have a completion to Hunter Renfrow in the middle of the field. Patrick Mahomes to Hunter Renfrow. So Mahomes here back in the game. Maybe just trying to get some quick points before the half. And who else gets quick points better than Patrick Mahomes? I don't think that the Super Bowl is going to be a high-scoring game. If it is high-scoring game, I will say that'll probably favor the Cincinnati Bengals rather than anything else. So I do think the Rams are going to win, a 2017, 2018 type ball game. I'm definitely favoring the money line rather than the spread as far as that goes in the NFL. But just getting into, like I said, I think as far as MVP with the Super Bowl too, my favorite to this point is Aaron Donald. I think Aaron Donald could be a very good favorite for the Super Bowl MVP. And the reason why I say that is we just talked about the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line and how poor it did against the Titans. And if Aaron Donald and Sean McVay can scheme some things up to get after the passer and can really affect, how quick he gets rid of the ball and things like that. There's no reason why, 4.5 sacks is impossible, and I definitely think that'll be something that can win him the title of NFL defensive player, NFL MVP, Super Bowl MVP, whichever way you really want to look at it. Here with 16 seconds left, the AFC has the ball around midway of the field, 16 seconds left. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes is trying to get up the field. The offense just had a penalty, so there's 6 seconds left. Looks like this is going to be a bomb at the end zone. So we are going to see what happens in this bomb. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson, Travis Kelce all lined up. Micah Parsons getting after Patrick Mahomes. Oh, we do have a sack. We have a sack in the Pro Bowl, throwing him down to the ground. Micah Parsons dapping up Patrick Mahomes. Guys, that is going to bring us to halftime, 28-21 of the NFL Pro Bowl. I'm going to talk for the rest of halftime and during the second half of the game. I'm actually going to conclude my commentation. So I hope to this point that you guys are really appreciating the time I'm spending with you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying my commentating, my broadcast. This is a unique experience for me, definitely new for sure. So if you guys think I'm doing a good job, feel free to put a thumbs up. Like I said, feel free to like, follow, share on the Since the Sandbox podcast coming around. We have a Meet the People series episode coming up this week. That's going to be with myself and Coach K, Kamari Williams, Juxie, Boston local rapper. And we're going to be talking about, how he became an artist, what his podcasting journey is like. We are going to be previewing the Super Bowl once again, so you'll be hearing, a lot of my similar takes. But I want to talk about quickly what to expect for the NFL next year. Like I said, I have a bunch of impending free agents. I have some cap space scenarios on here. So I'm going to just spend the next 10-15 minutes talking about that before we wrap up the broadcast. Miami's leading the NFL with cap space this year. They have $64 million. Really interesting that this was the choice that they made with Brian Flores. After going 1-7 and then winning 8 straight games, I thought that was really interesting. But they do have coaches lined up that they would like, I'm sure, to spend that $64 million wisely, invest in the team. Second with cap space is the Chargers, and the Chargers I'm sure we're expecting to be in the playoffs this year. That was a crazy scenario that happened with the Raiders the very last game of the season. So we'll have to see what they do in the offseason. But I wanted to talk about some impending free agents and just really discuss a lot of these big names. We have Von Miller, Allen Robinson, Chandler Jones, Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster, J.C. Jackson, Cordero Patterson, James Conner, Harold Landry, Connor Williams, OBJ, and Orlando Brown. Guys, those are like my top 12, 13 impending free agents. Those guys will probably be the guys being the most handsomely compensated on the free agent market when they turn over to either a new team or turning back to their team. Like I said, we have to keep in mind what happens with Aaron Rodgers because Devontae Adams is also a free agent. A quick little note with that is if Devontae Adams is not paired up with Aaron Rodgers once again, We do know that there was a connection with Derek Carr going back to Fresno State. That's where they both played college ball. Would be interesting to see that production, that duo paired up once again. And then some scenarios as far as the cap to really watch out for is New Orleans is negative 76 million, and they're 76 million in debt. They got to clear some cap space. Green Bay 46 million in debt. They had to clear some cap space. Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants. Guys, those teams definitely need to do some work this offseason to make sure that they're signing some of the top free agents and really building their franchise in the best position to go forward. Next year is going to be interesting seeing an NFL without Tom Brady. I will say the assumption will be that Patrick Mahomes will most likely be the best quarterback in the NFL, but I will put the argument out there that if Joe Burrow wins the Super Bowl, that why shouldn't his name be mentioned in the best quarterback in the nation, in the United States, in the NFL? I definitely feel like that's a conversation that can be had for sure. So I think that's something cool for next season to really look out for. Like I said, the decision with Aaron Rodgers is going to be something that's going to make waves across the NFL. And we always have teams that go from worst to first. The Cincinnati Bengals are a clear team that did that. So take a look at some of the teams in last place. I'm hoping it's the New York Giants. Next year that really make a change, but would be nice to see my New York Giants make that change, go from worst to first every single year. I feel like I'm saying that, and the Giants just end up in last once again. So I think that's more the New York Giant hopeful in me trying to do that rather than anything else. But guys, like I said, I hope you liked my broadcast. I hope you liked my commentating. I'm going to wrap things up here for the NFL 2022 Pro Bowl. If you guys like this, please feel free to reach out. Let me know. Maybe I will be doing a little bit more of this starting next year. But like I said, if you like my content, make sure to follow, subscribe, like on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We have a lot of things coming. A lot of great things. Thank you guys. I appreciate you for spending the time. Go to since-the-sandbox.net. You guys can make a donation if you appreciated this little broadcast. You guys can get some merch. And you guys could have watched this live right on since-the-sandbox.net. So I'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to give the podcast a 5-star review because we deserve nothing less. I'll see you guys soon, and hopefully it'll be from my own commentating booth one day. Peace out.